The OnePlus Nord from last year was a huge success, but since then the company's cheaper entries in the Nord lineup, including the recent Nord CE, have not really lived up to my expectations. However, with the OnePlus Nord 2, the original Nord charm seems to have made a comeback. That being said, in 2021, the competition in this mid-range price segment is incredibly stiff, especially here in the Asian market, thanks to devices like the Poco F3 GT, the Realme X7 Max, the Mi 11X, and the likes. I have been using the OnePlus Nord 2 and comparing it against the Realme X7 Max and the Poco F3 GT for the better part of 2 weeks now. So allow me to share my findings with you guys after this short message from our sponsor, Dr. Phone. It happens to most of us that when we switch from an Android to iPhone or vice versa, transferring WhatsApp messages between them is not an easy task. But worry not, Dr. Phone has got you covered. It lets you transfer your WhatsApp messages from your Android to iPhone and vice versa by following a few simple steps. All you need to do is download the app to your laptop, click on WhatsApp transfer, connect your devices, and get started. Besides messages, the app also lets you transfer your photos and attachments as well. I will put down further information and the app link in the description box down below, so do check it out. Now back to the video. Okay, first let me start by talking about the design. Here, the OnePlus Nord 2 has a very similar weight distribution and form factor as the first gen Nord. I have this blue haze color option with this porcelain finish, which looks clean and minimalistic. I was kind of hoping to get the green wood color variant, but sadly that's exclusive for the Indian market only. Anyway, I love how handy the OnePlus Nord 2 feels in my little hands. It's got a good heft to it and definitely feels better than the Realme X7 Max or the Poco F3 GT for that matter. Of course, the F3 GT has a gaming-centric design, so it's not really a fair comparison, but I think the mainstream audience will appreciate the Nord 2's design a bit more. It even borrows the same camera layout as the more expensive OnePlus 9. And like I mentioned earlier, this phone is not that heavy or wide either, and more importantly, holding it feels like you have a premium phone in your hands. Likewise, both its front and the back are protected by Gorilla Glass 5, which seems to be a popular choice for OnePlus in most of the devices, including their high-end ones. But I wouldn't bet on its durability, seeing how Geeky Ranjit sir's unit has literally shattered falling off his hands. And quite rightly so, he says that at the end of the day, it's glass and glass breaks. So it's really up to your usage pattern and how good of a case and a screen protector you end up using. Plus, the frames on the OnePlus Nord 2 are also made of plastic. But thankfully, as you can see, the signature alert slider makes a comeback after its heavily criticized omission on the Nord CE. OnePlus has further cheaped out by including basic splash proofing here, since there is no official IP rating on this phone. So I've had to be extra careful using the Nord 2 during this monsoon season. Okay, moving on. Apart from the similar form factor as the OnePlus Nord, these two phones' display specs are quite similar as well. It's the same 6.43 inches AMOLED screen with a 90Hz refresh rate and HDR10 Plus compliance. Quality-wise, it's still a very good screen with accurate colors and excellent contrast. Its brightness too is sufficient enough for both indoor and outdoor usage as well. Additionally, unlike the original Nord, the punch hole cutout up top is not intrusive at all, so watching videos on this display has been a relatively more pleasant experience. However, there are a few things that I'm slightly disappointed with regarding the Nord 2 screen. Firstly, it does not support HDR video playback on Netflix despite the aforementioned HDR10 Plus compliance. Therefore, I've had to be content with streaming only in Full HD non-HDR mode on Netflix on the Nord 2. Secondly, its 180Hz touch sampling rate is not extraordinary like you would find on similarly priced Poco F3 GT, which boasts up to 480Hz of touch response. Even the Realme X7 Max and Xiaomi's Mi 11X both feature 360Hz touch sampling rates. So on my usage, I did notice the touch experience on the Nord 2 to be slightly inferior in comparison. It's nothing of a deal breaker, of course, but if you are coming from phones with a higher touch sampling rate, you will definitely notice the inferiority of the Nord 2's touch latency. And finally, this display has settled for a 90Hz refresh rate, while 120Hz has pretty much been the standard at this price bracket in 2021. Personally, I have no complaints regarding the 90Hz screen on the Nord 2, as OnePlus has optimized the 90Hz refresh rate pretty well here. But I genuinely think the company should have added a higher touch sampling rate, which would have certainly made the display experience better for gaming and especially for chatting and such. Regardless, this screen also houses an optical in-display fingerprint sensor, which works fine until your hands are greasy or wet. Besides that, OnePlus has improved its speaker quality by including a good set of stereo speakers here. It's fairly loud and balanced. I even compared it against the Realme X7 Max and found that both of them do a almost similar job.
So tell me that you need me, I would bother. If you're with another man, I don't even care.
Similarly, OnePlus has included good haptics too, so the vibration feedback while typing on this phone is fairly satisfactory. I like the fact that the feedback is not too hard but not too soft at the same time. It's kind of a perfect balance and I am quite happy about it. Now, while we are talking about the good stuff, I have to mention that I'm quite impressed with the dual 2250 mAh battery on this phone. With the ambient display turned off, I got around 7 hours of screen on time, with my usage consisting of a couple of hours of watching YouTube videos, a lot of calling and texting, a good amount of social media, and some light gaming. So it's easily a proper all-day battery phone. However, just like the more expensive OnePlus devices, I did notice 7 to 8% battery drainage overnight. As for charging, the Nord 2 juices up impressively fast, so the battery drain thing should not be that big of a problem, I guess. Here, I graphed its charging speed to go from 0 to 100% in just 30 minutes with the 65-watt warp charger, which is quite impressive, I must say. Okay, now before moving on to the cameras, let's talk about the performance of the OnePlus Nord 2. This phone is powered by a custom Dimensity 1200 AI SoC co-developed by OnePlus and MediaTek. OnePlus says that this doctored chipset offers improved response time for games and other apps, while it supposedly delivers better thermal and power efficiency compared to the standard Dimensity 1200. As you can see from these benchmarks, this MediaTek flagship processor performs almost similarly to Qualcomm's Snapdragon 870. And if we compare it against the original OnePlus Nord, the scores are almost double. To note, I got myself the 8GB RAM and 128GB storage variant of this phone, which is definitely a better value than the 12GB RAM and 256GB variant. On my typical usage, it has provided me with an excellent experience, almost like using a flagship OnePlus phone. Here, the company has optimized this chipset really well to run day-to-day activities smoothly with no overheating issues either. Multitasking between even the heaviest of apps does not put pressure on this phone, and on top of this, its UI is incredibly fluid and responsive. Talking of UI, the Nord 2 runs on Oxygen OS version 11.3. Now, after the announcement of merging the Oxygen OS and Oppo's ColorOS database, the former has seen a slight change. Is it a deal breaker in any way? Absolutely not. Apart from the camera app and slight changes in the settings menu, everything is pretty much the same. I know that many of the OG OnePlus fans are not that accepting of this development. Even I am not very happy about it, but until and unless there are unrecognizably significant changes with the Oxygen OS, I am not complaining. Regardless, the OnePlus Nord 2 is certainly a good, if not a perfect device for gaming as well. Here, high-end titles like Genshin Impact are playable in the highest settings under 60 FPS mode. But under this, you will notice slight lags every now and then. Scaling down the graphics to high and keeping 60 FPS intact, I got a steady 40 FPS on this phone, which is quite good. Even with PUBG Mobile, you can easily achieve a stable 40 FPS under HDR graphics and ultra frame rates. For even smoother gameplay, you can dial down the settings to extreme frame rates and smooth graphics, which delivers a constant 60 FPS gaming experience without breaking a sweat. OnePlus has also promised to introduce 90 FPS gameplay in a list of games. As of now, the 90 FPS optimized games such as Critical Ops and Oddmar can hit only 60 FPS on the Nord 2. The Realme X7 Max, on the other hand, already has 90 FPS mode in games like PUBG Mobile. Moving on, relatively less demanding titles like Call of Duty run well in 60 FPS even in the highest of settings. Testing it alongside the Poco F3 GT, well, we got a pretty similar gameplay experience, except for the fact that the OnePlus Nord 2 was able to keep itself relatively cool while the Poco F3 GT heated near the camera module. But then again, if you are a hardcore gamer, I would suggest you go for the Snapdragon 870 powered Poco F3 or the iQOO 7 for even better gaming performance. As you can see from this table, you will be able to get more stable gameplay in demanding titles like Genshin Impact and PUBG Mobile from phones with Snapdragon 870 on board. The OnePlus Nord 2 features a triple camera setup that includes a 50 megapixel primary, an 8 megapixel ultra wide, and a 2 megapixel monochrome lens. For the most part, I like the images from its primary camera. It's got good appreciable dynamic range and details while producing naturalish colors in most scenarios. As you can see from these samples, the photos are not extra punchy here like the Realme X7 Max, nor does it have a bit more contrast like that of the Poco F3 GT. However, it does struggle in focusing on close-up subjects while the Realme X7 Max does it better. Images from its 8 megapixel ultra wide angle camera do not have as impressive dynamic range and details as the primary images though. I found Realme's ultra wide angle shots to be brighter and have a slightly better dynamic range as well. About the portraits, well, I am not a huge fan of both the OnePlus Nord 2 and the X7 Max in this regard. In fact, you can keep the Poco F3 GT in the same league too. Nord 2's portraits look highly beautified, have this unnatural yellow tone, and the blur looks unnatural majority of the time. The Realme X7 Max, on the other hand, produces this pink tint in the subject, although the background looks slightly better. And as expected from a Xiaomi mid-range phone, the Poco F3 GT's portraits are dark and don't have a pleasing background. So for human subjects, I wouldn't say any of these phones perform that good and definitely need better optimization. Selfies from the 32 megapixel lens of the OnePlus Nord 2 are not that good either. It is lacking in contrast and the subjects look extremely pale. Portrait selfies are slightly smoothened and the edge detection is average only. So you can say that the Nord 2 is not a great selfie phone. Okay, when it comes to nighttime photography, its images have acceptable sharpness, but the Realme X7 Max's images are clearly brighter with higher detail levels. With the night mode turned on, the brightness and details improve significantly on both these phones. In terms of videos, the OnePlus Nord 2 does a much better job in stabilizing the 4K 30fps videos, all thanks to OIS, while Realme's output is quite shaky and oversaturated. Do note that the OnePlus Nord 2 crops the videos by a bit to maintain better steadiness. Likewise, with the 1080p 60fps videos, the OnePlus Nord 2 comes out victorious once again with its slightly cropped yet steadier results in comparison to the Realme X7 Max. Regardless, the 1080p 30fps videos are stabilized on both the phones though.
Hey guys, so right now I'm shooting a selfie video from the OnePlus Nord 2. The video quality is looking good, the background looks good as well, and the video is stable. But at the same time, you can only shoot at 1080p 30fps resolution, so that's a bummer. Well, about the microphone quality, it sounds good for everyday usage and a little bit of vlogging as well.
Anyway, I will also be making a detailed comparison video between the OnePlus Nord 2, the Poco F3 GT and the Realme X7 Max, where I will be comparing them, especially the cameras in detail, so be sure to subscribe to Gadget Byte. But now let me give my verdict about this phone. Here, the OnePlus Nord 2 is certainly a healthy upgrade over last year's Nord, no doubts on that. And with the Nord 2, I feel like OnePlus is back with the kind of value for money it used to provide a few years ago. I also think that this phone takes away the appeal of the more expensive OnePlus 9R and even the OnePlus 9 with its value-packed all-rounder performance. But again, it is not a perfect mid-range phone. Its ultra-wide angle and selfie cameras are pretty average and the display is not as good as the competition. But looking at the overall positive aspects, I would definitely recommend the OnePlus Nord 2 to anyone who's looking for a reliable mid-range phone. Yet be sure to pick the 8/128GB variant instead of the 12/256GB variant, which I think misleads the value proposition of this phone altogether. So there you have it. That is all for my take on the OnePlus Nord 2. I am coming up with the Poco F3 GT review this week too, and I am excited for the upcoming Unpacked Foldable event from Samsung as well, meaning loads of amazing content coming your way. So stay tuned, stay healthy, and I will see you in my next video.